All right, hello everyone. I wanted to make a video about the problem we did in class with the ordering. Okay, so these were the numbers here, and let's just look to see if we can create decimals for all of them so it's easier to compare. So 3.7 is already in the decimal. 3 4/5, that's the same as, if you do the math on that, 3.8. Square root of 9 is actually 3, right? And then 13 over 4 is, as a mixed number, 3 1/4, which is 3.25. And then the square root of 14, what you have to do is benchmark, right? Because it's an irrational number, it's not a perfect square, but it's between, the perfect squares it's between will be square root of 16, which is 4, square root of 9, which is 3. Okay, well, clearly we see that in terms of ordering that the smallest value will be 3, or we'll keep it how they gave it to us, square root of 9. And then 13/4 will come next because it's 3.25. So now we're left with 3.7, 3.8, and the square root of 14. We see that the square root of 14 is closest to the square root of 16, so it's closest to the 4. So it's going to be greater than 3.5, right? And in fact, it ranges somewhere, it could be between like 3.6 to maybe 3.9, we don't know. So it's really difficult, and again, we don't have a calculator. So it's difficult to determine where it will lie, if it's going to be smaller than 3.7, larger than 3.8, in between somewhere. It can be a little difficult. It's not as clear. But again, remember I emphasize definitions. So if you remember the definition of what a square root means, then you'll be able to solve this. All right, so in terms of square roots, we know that it means a number times itself will give us, so we're looking for a number times itself to give us 14. So what we can do, we can multiply. If we take 3.7, so let's look at 3.7. We take 3.7 and multiply it by itself. Well, 7 times 7 is 49. Add the 4. 7 times 3 is 21 plus 4. That's going to be 25. And then 7 times 3 is 21. Add 2. And then 3 times 3 is 9 plus 2 is 11. And so we end up with, 13. And then we move the decimal place two spaces to the left. 13.69. So that's less than 14. So we know the square root of 14 is larger than 3.7. If you do the same for 3.8, and so go ahead, for sake of time, 3.8 times 3.8, you should get 14.44. That tells you that, which is larger than 14. So that tells us that the square root of 14 will lie somewhere in between 3.7 and 3.8. So that's our final answer, and I believe this is what was on the board, so good job for whoever did that. Our final answer will be the square root of 9, 13/4, 3.7, the square root of 14, and 3 4/5. Okay? Hopefully that made sense. I will see you in class.